We're in northwestern Alberta, and behind me is an oat crop. Now this oat crop has been fairly heavily depredated by wild boar. Wild boar, when they're at large, are a provincial pest under the Agricultural Pests Act. They were introduced back in the 80s and early 90s. Farmers were encouraged actually to diversify their livestock. So they brought in wild boar, and over the years some did escape, and they've established themselves fairly. They do a lot of rooting in the process of looking for food. Pigs don't have functioning sweat glands, so they have to wallow in mud or water in order to keep cool. Whenever they wallow, they cause damage to riparian areas, they spread weeds, they disrupt fish habitat, they contaminate water sources. All kinds of environmental issues. They spread disease. There's potential of disease spread to other animals or humans. There's the potential for them to spread African swine fever. Bounties are ineffective in reducing the population. In essence, all that does is move the problem around. We've deployed different means of surveillance, trail cameras, cellular cameras. We've got a drone program in the works now. With surveillance, we've partnered up with Environment and Parks with their K9 unit. We found that that's a very effective way for doing surveillance.
Today we're here with the 3 Conservation K9 dogs, and we're responding to some reports of damage to crops and potential wild boar in this area. So dogs are really great at sniffing things out. They just naturally do that their whole lives. And certain dogs, you can train them to tell you about things when they find them. So they're able to cover large areas, and they'll tell us if they find any scat. If there's reports of potential wild boar or we find damage and we want to confirm that it is wild boar, then we can bring the dogs in to find the scat, which would be very difficult for humans to do. Our teams have already deployed on several conservation targets in Alberta. So their original target was invasive mussels, and they've worked on an invasive plant. And now we're working on wild boar scat, which is another invasive species in the province. And for them, even though they're kind of building up all these targets and we're out here working hard, it's just a giant game. So they're out here to find whatever is going to get them their paycheck, which is their favorite toy. And if that's a mussel or a boar scat, it doesn't matter to them. They're just here to have a good time. The bond between the handler and the dog is really important because we're always working together, and we need to learn to communicate with each other so that we can work very effectively. And then when they find something, we're able to know that. Mainly it's developed through play and just spending time with them. And so that bond gets developed just through spending time, working together, playing together, just being around each other. It's really important because when they're out working in the field, sometimes it can be confusing for them to try to piece together what they're smelling and then to try to communicate that to us. And so it's important that we are on the same wavelength with them.